How do you split your money with your so?
This begs for a conversation about how you will handle finances when you are married. It's possible you two have different ideas given how this is playing out so far. Additionally, hopefully this mindset of her money and my money doesn't stick around once married and should turn into our money. My wife and I see our money. I make nearly 4x what she does, but my income is still her income. We get the same amount of fun money regardless, and our budget sees one joint paycheck. I make no household decision without her take and vice versa. Edit. Thank you stranger for the gold. Edit 2. The funny money we both get goes into individual accounts that the other person doesn't have access to. So she spends or saves her fun money however she wants with no input from me and vice versa. I don't see her account balance or statement, and she doesn't see mine. Listen to this man. My wife and I never lived together before we married. Religion. Had we lived together we would have never married. Her ambition, drive, and lifestyle don't match mine. I've always been determined to climb to the top of the corporate ladder. I went to college while serving in the military on active duty. When I left the military I worked hard and now make a 6-figure salary and have no plans on stopping here. She skipped college, doesn't want the bother of being a manager, and is content making $15 per hour. In her estimation it doesn't matter because I make enough to take care of the family whether she works or not. I would be much happier if we were on an even playing field. It's not the salary I care about, but her drive. I'd be content if she was making minimum wage if she at least had the drive to say she'd be the CEO one day. After 18 years of marriage I feel like I have the pressure of the entire family on my shoulders instead of feeling like I had a partner in it all. This leads to resentment and other issues. Long story short, it's best to have these discussions now and work them out so you're on equal footing. It's not about the money, it's about the partnership. I guess we're old school and we have a joint account. I make a higher salary than my husband but that all gets dumped into the account and from where all bills are paid. We do consult one another for large personal purchases but overall, we do with it as we wish. Money is generally seen as one of the biggest factors of contention in relationships, so may I suggest that you have a sit down and honestly discuss both of your expectations. WRT money, household bills, contributions. Better to get this out in the open now rather than later. Same here. My husband and I have had a joint account since we've been married. It's also fair to point out that we have similar views on money, how it's spent, what constitutes a high-value purchase, and are both on the same page when it comes to spending money when we have upcoming expenses. There may have been a few issues here and there when we first got married where one of us made a purchase and the other didn't agree, but it was never a scenario where either of us put our household in financial restraints. In those instances, we talked it out and made changes or communicated purchases better after the fact. We still continue to have a joint account to this day. Edited to say that I make more than my husband now, but there was a time where he made more than me. Our thought process and our communication has improved, but our mindset is what allows this to work better so that no matter who makes more, our money is the main concept. I am a student in my last year of university. My wife finished college 2 years ago. At this moment she brings 12 times more than I do. I work in a student position, I cover bills, and sometimes when we eat outside, the rest is on her, and we're fine with it. On the other hand, when she studied and I was in the army I paid for everything. It's a balance that you need to find for yourself. Large gaps unfortunately make it so the higher earner pays more, or you limit your lifestyle to match the lowest income earner. I spent my whole life paying for pretty much everything. My wife's earnings went to retirement savings and travels, luxuries. I think this is the best way to do it. If one partner makes less than the other, instead of pooling it into the same expenses, separate them to pay for certain things. Like you said, your wife pays for the enjoyable things, vacations and luxury expenses. Even though she makes less money, her income is not only going towards something you don't have to put your own money towards, but it's focused on the things that make you both happy. It's worth more than the monetary value to you, and you don't have to bicker with each other about paying unequally into the bills or food expenses and such. Obviously the person with more money is going to have more money to spend, but this way it doesn't seem like she's just making a smaller deposit into the overall fund. A great way to do this if you're stable enough and smart enough would be to match the lower earner's income and put it into a shared account, take the rest of your excess income and put it directly into investments and savings. You don't have to feel cheated and your money is still going towards something that will greatly benefit both of you in the future. Different couples handle it in different ways. Some do an even split of the costs, some do a split based on the difference of income percentages. So it's a little odd you two have gotten this far and not already had some sort of agreement in place. Given this is an expense for a joint asset, the fair thing would be for her to pay a smaller percentage based on the difference between your income levels. Either way though, you two need to have a serious conversation about finances and sort out how these things should work both today and into the future. I really hope you had an agreement for what happens with the house if you two split before you two bought it. I'm a female and make 6x my husband's income, married a teacher, God bless him, and I'm in high-tech management. Married 30 years and we've only ever had one shared account. In the early days he earned way more than me, then we had kids and took turns staying home with the kids. At some point my career just took off and we went with it. Point is, it's just us all the way and doesn't make a difference who's earning more when it comes to decision making or control of the finances. I trust this man with my life, heart and soul, so having free and fair access to our money just seems to flow naturally from that commitment. Just have an honest conversation with her, but try to avoid being accusatory. Say something to the extent of, I don't know if I can afford to pay for the reno all by myself, do you think that you could help? Even if she's not willing to go 50-50, especially if she's saving up for a wedding, she may be willing to help where she can, and go 30/70 or however much she can. Communication is your best bet here. It's best to talk through issues and take action before they become problems. Best of luck, mate. I'm married, so slightly different situation than you, but not that much. We make a budget together pooling both incomes and then based on the budget figure out who is paying for what. I suggest you do the same. Who pays for what and which sort of accounts you use is less important than having a discussion to make sure you're on the same page about spending and saving. I'd say pool your income into a renovation fund, maybe an equal percentage of both of your income would work. Talk it out if it annoys you. I think equal percentages is a good idea. I make 3x what my fiancé makes, but our plan is to sum our incomes, see what percentage any given expense is, and then we each contribute that percentage of our own income. An additional rule is that we each contribute a percentage to a fun money fund, which is then split 50-50. For example, say I make $90K and she makes $30K. Rent is $18K a year, which is 15% of our summed income. So I contribute $13.5K, 15% of 90, and she contributes $4.5K, 15% of 30K. For fun money, say we want $250 for each of us each month. That'll be $500 a month, so $6K a year. Once again, I'll contribute 3x what she contributes, so 4.5K from me, 1.5 from her, but over the year it'll be split evenly so we each get 3K over 12 months. This works if both people are in agreement on the renovations. If only one person wants high-end extras, like the op, it doesn't. I might be wrong, but it was never said that the so wants the same. Also, if the so makes significantly less, it can be much harder to save. It's much easier to save, invest when the amount you have left after necessities is higher. I'd be interested to see how much each spend on non-essentials per month. Don't blame her. Don't be annoyed. It seems that you both didn't clarify your boundaries and expectations well enough yet. There is a lack of communication that seems pretty resolvable. Like with other expenses, it's better to have a plan where you each identify spending goals and contribute a predetermined amount, maybe via percent split, to a given spending goal and budget for that, together. It sounds like you do that for most things, but then just kind of made an assumption on this. I imagine you can pretty easily come to an equitable arrangement if you explain how you are feeling openly and honestly using I statements, express your need to have a fair, clear, and open arrangement, listen to what her needs are, and then work it out. Best of luck. Considering you've already bought a house together, I assume that means that both of you are on the mortgage. I'm gonna sound like the old timer on this one, even though I'm not yet 40, and must recommend that you too get married. It is not good to own something like a house, or a car, or anything with a loan, with your roommate, which is all she legally is at this point. Once kids are in the mix, if that is your future plan, things get even hairier. I've got to agree with Dave Ramsey's advice on situations like this, since what he'll always say to others in your situation is to ask, what will you do if something happens to her and then suddenly you're joint owner on the house with her parents? It is not a good place to be in, legally speaking. I know this is probably not the response you were looking for based in the original post, but coming from experience of being married for 10 plus years and having 2 kids, the more you get past the you and me and move towards the we, the easier your life will be. And in case you're asking, I make good money, but my wife is fortunate to make more and have a more flexible schedule. We work together and yes, do have our difficulties, but always work to find a way through things. You need to learn to work together to make it through life. We've established a certain financial explanation. Besides the everyday stuff like going out to eat, where we split evenly, things like splitting rent and all household extras or necessities are paid proportionally to how we make. We pool money by putting a proportional amount to an account every month, and then all together purchases come out of that fund. Any purchases are agreed upon and prioritized to what we need versus what we want. I find this to work well because we're both using up the same percent to enjoy a certain lifestyle together, despite the difference in income. I genuinely love her passionate pursuit in what she chose to pursue, so I see this being fair because I trust and accept her choices in life. Dude, just talk to her. 90% of the problems in this sub can be solved by just being an adult and talking to your partner. My fiance earns a lot more than I do. We split everything within our range evenly. If it's something big or something we have to save for, we still do the same unless one or the other offers to pay more. I sometimes pay for everything because I want to shower her, other times she does it for me. It's a giving and taking, while everyone handles their own money. For everything that's for both of us, we just pool it equally, like I said before. We talked about this before we got really serious, before the engagement and before moving in together. Just talk to her. Hey man, I don't know what your relationship is like. Normal, or love, seems to mean different things for different people. My view is like this. So from what you've written, you both own an equal stake in a house, but you're pumping cash into the property to increase its value or increase its comfort, utility. You are contributing significantly more to the improvements, and you feel this is unfair on you as she's benefiting from the improvements and isn't even making an effort to contribute. From what I can see, you're not really annoyed about the division of finances. If you earned 80% of your household income, you'd be happy to have an 80-20 split of the bills, but you are upset that your SA hasn't made any savings, or any effort to contribute to the improvements. To me, it sounds like you can have this conversation with her. It's not really about the money. You're not asking her to split bills 50-50 knowing she doesn't have access to the same level of income. You just feel like your level of enthusiasm for the project isn't being met, and you're shouldering more than you thought you would be. You might ask your partner if the changes that you're making are changes she really wants, as you feel that she's not contributing anything, so you just want to make sure that you're not pressing your wants on her. I believe that relationships need to be built on a foundation of trust and communication. I often reflect on my feelings and wants before I'll sit down with my wife, but our goals and feelings often align so well that it's seldom an issue. Talk to your other half, and find out how she feels about it. You'll probably find that money isn't the root issue here, and it's more about expectations and perceptions, though if things are already causing you pain, the sooner you address them, the better. Just try to remain productive and positive. It can be tough to have these conversations. I could never understand this line of thinking. Maybe I'm wrong, but what if your wife is fired from her job? Will you let her starve because she has no money to pay for food? You have significantly higher income than her. What if for whatever reason, and believe me, shit happens, you can't work anymore? She should let you starve to death because you have no money? If you make $10,000 a month and she makes $1.5K a month, should you rent an apartment that costs $1.5K per month because she can't afford anything more expensive? I just don't get it. You're sharing your life with this woman. That means you share both the good and the bad. Whenever men tell me they have their finances separate, I always think the same. They are doing it so they can make an easy break. Either they know the partner is gonna have enough of them, they are waiting for something better to come alone, etc., etc. In my head, there is absolutely no reason why you should be keeping finances separate with a partner you are living with and with whom you say you intend to spend the rest of your life with, outside of you not trusting them or some other reasons like tax, and if you can't trust them, why the fuck you with them in the first place? Edit. So many comments saying the same thing. Basically, the reason with 50% of marriages breaking down is people getting married way too damn quickly and easily, and that is a whole different issue. I also find it hilarious people make the decision of marriage easier than conjoining money. Really says a lot about people, doesn't it? Stop getting married so goddamn fast. Personally, we share a bank account and we don't pay that close of attention to who is spending what. Until somewhat recently, we both were working for about the same wage. Most of the stuff we bought was for us anyhow. So long as we didn't go too crazy, we can spend money on ourselves as well. It's never been a problem. Now that I'm out of work, on disability after some major health complications, I really watch what I spend. She brings in the majority of the money, so I don't allow myself much of a say in how she spends the money. We're both pretty responsible people though, so I'm not worried. Has worked out fine for 18 years. If this is getting to be a worry for you, then you guys need to have an adult conversation. This is really the kind of stuff you should have down before you make too many permanent plans. Don't make it a fight or nag them, just talk it through and come to an agreement. The phrase, living within your means, comes to mind. You make more money. If you live within her means, you will have more savings, unless you live so far within her means that she can save and have nice things. Honestly, it sounds like you're out of line if you're surprised that she doesn't have as much money as you. Maybe you should have a talk about how the two of you feel about short-term expenditures versus investments. Just to find out, don't put her in the spot. If you're the one that wants those pretty things, you pay, but maybe it's better you skip them and keep the peace with the woman you plan to spend your life with. Just skip them. Have fucking priorities, dude. This is like if a bodybuilder woman were dating an average guy and when they moved she expected his back to be fine after trying to keep up with her. I'd say that's not reasonable. Personally, I think the best approach to everything in a marriage is the mentality that you are a team, not being possessive over what is whose. My wife and I have shared an account our whole relationship. We don't keep track of who contributes more money, rather how we are budgeting the money we have. If you think your spouse is going to fuck you over financially, maybe a relationship isn't the best idea. If your spouse is spending irresponsibly, a budgeting conversation should be had. I do the budgeting in our relationship. This is because it stresses her out, and it is therapeutic for me to budget and make sure things are in order. I make a monthly sheet of bills and savings, and then what's left over is what we can spend. I have recently been sending my wife some money each week on her own personal card so that she can shop without me stressing over added expenses. Lol, as long as everything is being budgeted, I really don't see why it matters who brings what amount to the bank account. It's like a relationship. There are different things that both people bring to the table. My wife likes to cook, but I do most of the cleaning. I focus more on our pets, but she manages our social relationships better. You can't be stingy about things and expect the relationship to last. If she is spending frivolously, go over the budget with her. My partner just don't even consider it splitting. It's our money together. She's not working at the moment because we have a baby, so the only significant money coming in is mine. It goes into a shared account. If I want anything, I just say, can I get this thing? Same for her. I have had issue with male friends who seem to think I am doing something wrong letting my woman control the money, but she sorts all the finances and I have no idea about any of them, and in all honesty don't want to. It's a stress I don't want, and if she is willing to take it from me, then why the hell not? She is way better with money than I am, and since it's been like this we have managed to save thousands in the span of just a year or so, and I don't even earn much money. I am prone to impulse buying things that I don't even want and then they just sit there wasted. That mere act of asking if it's okay if I buy this and her asking, do we really need this, saves so much damn money that I would be an idiot to do it any other way. I know it's not for everyone. You have to trust your partner completely to do it, but in my opinion, if you can't trust them with your money, then what the hell you doing with them in the first place? Money is one of the biggest things about living together, and if you can't do it properly, you really should be asking yourself what you are doing there. We used to have 3 accounts, joint, hers and mine. Now we just have one joint account. We put our money there, and pay everything from there. The basis for that to work is trust and loyalty. I don't want my wife to fret over money, and neither does she want me to fret. We don't hold each other accountable, but larger purchases are discussed beforehand. Example, if I want to buy a video game, I buy said game. If she wants a dress or some crocheting stuff, she buys it. If I want to buy a new PlayStation, I do discuss this and only buy stuff like that at an opportune time. Same with her, if she wants an expensive dress or like a new sewing machine or some baking equipment, believe me, some of that stuff is easily more expensive than a PS5 winking face. If we want to buy a new car, that's obviously a joint decision and takes careful consideration. Stuff for the kids is also never an issue. What matters here, we are married, own a house and have 2 children. When we were still dating and even in the beginning of our marriage, we tried to split bills and had our own money. My wife and I have been married 1 year. 50% of all income goes into our joint account, including bonuses, which gets used for mortgage, joint expenses, food, things we do together, etc. We actually save a decent amount in excess of our joint contributions, so the joint account grows each month. We plan on moving our automatic joint contributions to 75% this year. The remaining money goes to our personal accounts. I invest most of it, but also use it for gifts and other expenses like clothes, haircuts, my own postgrad expenses, etc. It gives us a high level of financial togetherness and ensures that if one of us has a killer year, then we both benefit. But I also like having some independence to buy things without it being a joint expense. It helps we are both professionals and have similar incomes. My wife and I married when we were 21, just before our senior year of college. We had literally hundreds of dollars between us, which made things simple, all things held in common. We discussed all significant purchases, and worked to build our financial security and independence. Now, almost 40 years later, we still do the same thing. We've exceeded our financial independence target by a factor of 3, and we still discuss significant purchases, even things just a few $100s. It's worked well for us. But our 2 daughters we've advised differently. The eldest married last January and we advised her, and she followed the advice, to draw up a prenup and stick to it. We've helped her to put together a substantial nest egg and it's wise to protect it. You put a plan together and stick to it. And when you marry, consider putting it all together, but not before you make sure you both view money and investing the same way. That includes saving on her part. Edit. Together. You said you're the significantly higher earner and she was contributing to the mortgage and utilities. Unless you know for a fact that she has been incredibly irresponsible with money, you shouldn't judge her for not having savings. Until you hit a certain threshold, it can be incredibly hard to save money, so the thing you're expecting her to do is much easier for you to do. If you haven't had talks about finances for this stuff before, you should forgive the past and have a discussion to figure out what you both want and come up with a plan for the future. Being annoyed at the past won't change anything and may be unfair on your part depending on the circumstances. Everyone approaches this differently. I'm a bit more old-fashioned, I guess. We've been married 24 years, and both work. My salary is 2x my wife's. We do maintain 2 checking accounts. They are divided by function, not by possession. My paycheck goes into one account and it pays all of the bills. 100%. Gas, groceries, utilities, mortgage, savings, all if it. My wife's check goes into another account. It covers the fun stuff. Wanna go out to eat? Wanna go out of town? Wanna buy new furniture? Okay, we both have full access to both accounts. I feel as a husband, it's my job to provide everything she needs. So I do it. There has never been a her money, my money situation. It's always been our money. Who pays more for what doesn't ever enter the conversation. Pool both incomes, almost entirely, and stop with the tab keeping. Most of our expenses are shared anyway, especially with kids. We each have a separate checking account with a monthly allotment, but otherwise we decide as partners our spending and savings decisions, broadly. Additionally, in marriage, especially with kids, career moves also become a team decision. It's a bit of give and take as each spouse makes career moves. Think schedule changes, weekly hours change, going back to school, pay raise, pay cut, etc. What if someone has to stop working? Will you keep a running debt? Finally, what's your end goal, financially? Ours is a comfortable shared retirement. Are you going to continue the tab keeping after you stop working? Does the higher income earner get to travel Europe, while the other stays home? To me, keeping separate finances is a recipe for resentment and stress. You're a team, lean on each other. If it's divorce and losing assets you fear, get a prenup. Good luck.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video. And if you are new, subscribe and click on the bell icon.